Well guys, what a disappointment. I've had my new pond back 3 days now. Ever since I unpacked it, we've had nothing but rain since. I just can't get out there. It's just rained every day. And I'm dying to get it out and have a go with it. But not at the moment by the looks of it. Blooming weather. Well guys, here we are again, down at the koi pond. As you can see, I've got my new Pondo Vac 4 out, so we're going to give it a whirl for the first time and see how things go basically. Everything else is fine, all's good. What I have done, and this was the idea of a koi enthusiast and Dan's Koi Pond, they both suggested, why don't I'll show you, connect the outflow on the Pondo Vac 4 into the sieve filter. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to run it straight into there and see what happens. That's a good idea. Thank you for both of you. I hadn't thought of that, to be honest, but I'm going to give it a whirl today and see how it goes. I don't know whether you can hear it, but that pump is making a noise again. So whether it's moved again or not, I don't know, but it is humming quite a bit now. But anyway, I'll sort that later. We're all connected into the sieve, so I'm going to plonk it in the pond and see how it goes. I'm going to use this attachment for a start and see how that one works. I've got 3 poles or tubes on the actual suction part, so we'll see how they work. So I'm going to get you guys set up and we'll see how everything goes. And you can see it for the first time as it's actually happening. Well guys, that didn't go too well. What happened was, when it's cutting in and out, the pipe jerks, so it falls off what I've got there, falls below it, but the worst thing was, it is actually too much flow for the sieve. I'm not getting enough flow through the sieve on it. So I've got that to sort out somehow. That would be too much flow for my actual pond vac dirt remover. So I should have to have a look at that as well. Okay, a bit hectic, but we did get it to work there. Boy, it does pull some dirt out, it does shift some water. I've only done half the pond, and that's the sieve. So that's what it's pumped into the sieve. It did get the better of it eventually. I found it works better if I just let it drop on the floor than try to support that pipe, so it does seem to work better, and it is working fine. I mean, I did half of that pond in about 5 minutes. It's going to be a lot quicker, but I was rushing about a bit there just to get things sorted out. But yeah, seems to go really well. Okay guys, so now I'm going to finish the other half of my pond off with this one, and then I'm going to try 1 or 2 other attachments with it, I think. See how they go. If you do see me perspiring, it is quite hot here today. So I do apologise for that, but it is really hot. And I'm not taking my shirt off for you lot looking. Right, we'll give it another go. Right guys, what I got to do now is just empty the sieve because it's filling up with muck, so I'm just going to empty that a bit and then we can be back at it. All I do when I empty my sieve filter, I do take the mesh out every so often, but all I do when I empty my sieve is just use a net and net it out. And that's all I do, just net it out. I've got an aquarium fish net, just net the worst out and then tidy it up later. Okay, what I'm going to do now is try one of the other attachments just to see how that goes and see how it performs. So I'm going to have a bash with that. Okay, right, it has clouded the pond up a little bit more than we did last time, but that's for the simple reason we use that filter floss and that took a lot of this fine stuff out. Obviously this one isn't doing, but the RDF's now working full time to clear it, so the RDF will sort that out. But I can't believe the speed of it, it's just constant vacuuming. Absolutely brilliant. I should have bought one years ago. An excellent tool. Cuts pond vacuum down by 3/4, I would say, time wise. I have covered it down at the minute because it's in the sun and I've just stopped for a cup of tea, but I think that's about it. I don't think there's a lot more I can do. I've been over it twice, so I think that's about it. I can't believe it hasn't taken me an afternoon. But there you go, it's a miracle tool. The verdict is I love it. Well, the problem at the start that we had was with the pipe, I'd got it propped up so it was a straight line straight into the sieve filter, and the problem was the rush of water was actually pushing the algae everywhere, and every time it changed cylinders there was a big gush of water. So when it fell off, what it actually did was, because it comes down across and back up again and into the sieve, it was holding water in this section here, so there was water staying in there every time, and when it changed over, the rush of water from the actual pond vac, this was slowing it down, so by the time it come back up and went into the sieve, it had slowed the rush down, so it was a nice steady flow going in there. So it was actually better having it dipped in the middle than having it straight down and into it. From where it is, I can have it stood where it is, and there's a good 5 meters of hose for the actual suction into the pond. So there's loads of hose. I can get all the way around my pond with it all stood in one spot. The pond's no cloudier than if I'd done it with my normal vacuum and the filter on it, but adding that filter floss did just take the fine stuff out, so we've lost the filter floss. First impressions, super. I eventually got 3 meshes like that. I cleaned it out 3 times while we was doing it. Well, actually that's the 3rd, but it's caught sort of that much 3 times. That's what the sieve's taken out, and the RDF is doing the rest, so that worked well in the end. There's one thing I'm a bit disappointed in, the actual response on that control valve, what I'm using as a control valve. It's a bit slow. The reaction of it is a little bit on the slow side, so I think I'm going to modify that and go back to the old flow control that I used to use. That is a little bit slow in reacting. So now all I'm going to do is just rinse the foams out that's in the actual pond vac itself. Just there's a couple of foams there. I'm going to rinse them out and put it away. Job done. Now, as you know guys, I don't normally do promotions on here, but I just feel I've got to. I bought this from Garden Site. You'll find them on the net. I'll leave a link in the description. You're getting the Pondo Vac 4, which is 1700 watt, but they normally over £300, 350, something like that. Is the cheapest I've seen them, I think. They're doing them at £265 at the moment. So anybody that's thinking of getting one, shoot along there pretty quick, because they have got a promotion on them and they are selling. It's got a 4.9 star out of 5 review on this thing, so it is really reviewing well. Like I say, if you do want one, I got mine from Garden Site. It's gardensite.co.uk. Pop along there, Pondo Vac 4, 264, well it's £264.99, £265. And I'll tell you, well worth the money. If you've been thinking of getting one, get one now, because that is cheap for these. Just thought I'd bring you up to date and let you know that there is an offer about on these. And I have to say, to deal with Garden Site was absolutely brilliant. Them guys are really good in there. Emails answered instantly, and the delivery, it took 2 days. I got it within 2 days of ordering it. But yeah, absolutely excellent service from them. You know me, I would say if it wasn't, but I couldn't fault them at all. As you can see, if the camera stops flickering, the RDF is doing overtime at the moment. That's working hard at the moment, but that'll soon have the pond clear. I've no worries about that at all. And that's it. 5 minutes and everything's clean away. No washing out sponges or filter floss. It's all just put it all away and job done. I did actually, what I'm going to show you in here, I did actually whip them sponges off. Give them a good rinse out in the pond, because the pond's cloudy anyway, but just give them a good rinse out in the pond, put them back. I'm going to leave them there to dry. I don't want to close it all up wet, so I'm just going to leave it like that to dry out a bit, and job's done. That's it. I have to say, I love it. I keep saying it, but I do. What a good buy that was. Well pleased with it. Right guys, there is something I just want to show you quickly. If we come across here, temperature we've got today is unbelievable. We've got 34 centigrade today. Boy, it is hot. I was going to do a bit more work, but it's just too hot. But what I want to show you is, finally, at last, we've got the gravel. It's eventually come. I've got the gravel round my slabs that I put down months ago. It's finally turned up. We got it down, me and the wife, bless her, she gave me a hand. We got it all down and I like it. Looks good. Don't know whether you can see it down the sides, but it comes, we've got it all the way around. Comes round to the back door. But yeah, great stuff. It only took me what, 10 weeks 10 weeks to get it, but we finally got it in the end. Well pleased with that. If you can remember what it did look like before. Right, well what you see here, well, is a bit of a mess really. But what I've done is I've taken my UV light out of my RDF, which you can see there. I've taken it out because, well, I'll show you why when I show you the bracket that I've made. I'll show you why I've taken it out. I want to do some work on it, so we'll nip down the other shed and I'll show you exactly why I've taken this out. Okay, here we are in the big shed. Now this is the bracket that I had made for it. Now I'd put suckers on the back to hold it onto the side of the RDF, which worked alright for a start, but I came down the other day and it had come off. Well, I don't want that. I don't want it getting near the drum or anything like that, so I'm going to have to modify this. But can you see what it's actually done to this PP? Now that's running 24/7 obviously, and it's been in there a few months, but it has discoloured the PP. So what a good job I had that backing on there. It's perfectly alright down here, and it's perfectly alright across the top here. So I made the actual backing for it the right size. It's covered all possible damage it could have done, I think. So what I'm going to do is I want to modify this so that it can't come off. I'm going to make another backing. The actual UV just threads into that end, through and out that end. That's a slightly bigger hole than this one, but I'm going to make something else so that it can't come off the back. Also I'm going to put something in here to protect it so that it can't damage the actual PP. But most, as I believe it, most of these RDFs, even the manufactured ones, are made out of PP. Now if they're running UVs in them, if I was you, I'd check it, because it has discoloured that. I don't think it's done any damage, it still feels the same, but it has discoloured it. So I mean, they are UV rays, so it's going to do something to it. But I'm going to get this sorted out now and make something else. Okay, what I've done is make the backboard out of 6mm PP, and I've cut out a piece of stainless steel to go around and across where the bulb goes. So I'll now take this and screw it in at the top on my RDF. That should protect it. Just slot the bulb in there and I can drop it in and drop a couple of screws in to hold it. It should do the trick nicely. Okay, and there it is. Hope you can see that down there all fitted in. So now we'll just switch everything back on and get everything back up and running again. And there we go, that's it in, all up and running. Good job, I'm well pleased with that. At least I'm not worrying about whether them suckers are going to come unstuck again. That's put my mind at rest about that one. Now I have been asked 2 or 3 times now, why do I need so much filtration? Well, number one is I do, as you may know, have a lot of fish in my pond. I'm a bit overstocked, to be honest. I've got 30 odd koi in there and they're growing, and you've really got to cope with what they turn out. Now people have asked me why, if I've got a moving bed, do I need a backy river as well? Well, to be honest, what you really must do if you're keeping any koi, and I'll say this to anybody, you must understand the nitrogen cycle. I do understand most of you guys out there know all about this, but I just want to make sure everybody knows. So I'm just going to run through it and I'll be as quick as I can how the nitrogen cycle works. It is a must to understand your koi and the things they need. Whether it's goldfish or koi or whatever it is, you should really know about the nitrogen cycle. Now the moving bed, what we're dealing with now is what the fish turn out. Now most of you should know that fish give off ammonia. You feed your fish and they give off ammonia. Now this ammonia has to be dealt with, especially when your water warms up. Once your water warms up, that ammonia becomes very toxic, so it has to be dealt with. Now the moving bed, if there's somebody out there that hasn't seen it, that is a moving bed. So what we have in there is K1 media, the coldness K1 media. Now this has been used in water purification for years and years, and well proved itself to do the job. What happens in there is your media is kept circulating using air. It's got to be kept on the move. So that media in there is bumping together, bumping the sides, and what it's actually doing is any dead and old bacteria that's on that media, it can't obviously cling to it anymore, so it's going to get knocked off. And what this does is makes room for healthy, live, thriving bacteria to cling to the media. It's making room on that media all the time for new and fresh, healthy bacteria. Now bacteria attaches to your K1. What you're doing is banging air into that water that's in that moving bed all the time, 24/7. Now these filters are self-cleaning. You just set one up, set it going, and there's not really much to do to it at all. Now basically what happens, your ammonia will come in your water from your pond into here, and what develops on this K1 media is a bacteria called, it's aerobic bacteria. The name gives it away, aerobic. It needs air. Now aerobic bacteria is the bacteria that you're trying to get to thrive in there. What that does is turns the ammonia into nitrite. It will put nitrite in your pond, but there will be a secondary bacteria pollinate on this media as well that will thrive on the nitrite. It's getting rid of your harmful ammonia and your harmful nitrite. Nitrite's still harmful to your fish and you don't want it in the pond. So once it's dealt with that, what it does give off is the less harmful nitrate. Now nitrate, your fish will stand a level of nitrate. It doesn't want to get high at all, but your fish will stand nitrate, your plants will live off it. The trouble is algae will as well. But this bed will deal with your ammonia and nitrite and leave you with nitrate. Now when you run a moving bed or any filter like this, you will see a little bit of nitrate in your pond because this is turning it out all the time. So it's turning out, if you're getting a lot of ammonia and a lot of nitrites, you're going to get nitrate. So what you've got to do is deal with the nitrate. Now you can deal with that in many ways. Some have bog filters, some put lots of plants in the pond. I've got plants in my pond, which helps. They also compete with the algae for the nitrate. So your plants are eating up the nitrate, so your algae doesn't get so much. So they're all helpful to keeping the algae down. Now with the nitrate, my levels were quite high because I've got a lot of fish. When I feed them I get a lot of ammonia, which turns into nitrite and turns into nitrate. So I do get quite a bit of nitrate. Okay, now the Backy River is totally opposite to the moving bed. You want as little air in the water as possible, as little oxygen in the water as possible. Now oxygen is a gas, and gases don't stay well in water, so it will come out of the water quite quickly. This is why you need a constant flow of oxygen in your pond, because your water, especially in the sun really will remove the oxygen from your water. What we want here is the total opposite. This is why I've taken the flow straight from my RDF, so there's very little air in the water, into the Backy River, and it flows through the Backy River and back to the pond. So there's very little air in here. There will be a little bit when it comes in, and probably in this chamber here there will be the aerobic bacteria. There will be some in there, but it doesn't hurt. But basically, as the oxygen comes out the water, what you're going to develop as you go through your Backy River is what they call anoxic bacteria. Some call it anaerobic, but it's an anoxic bacteria, what they call an anoxic bacteria. Now this anoxic bacteria, it actually thrives on nitrates. This is going to reduce the nitrates in your pond. This is again going to make it more difficult for algae to thrive because you're not going to be getting the nitrates in your pond. This will bring your nitrates right down. As long as you get a decent media in there. I've got Cyperax in there, which isn't cheap. There's about £200 worth in there. So I've got about 50 litres of Cyperax in there. So that will definitely lower your nitrate level. It needs a really porous media so that it can really get into the media. That's the reason for the Backy River and the moving bed. That's why I have the two. Anyway guys, that's me rambled on enough. I'll shut up now and we'll call that it. I'll see you all in the next one. So thanks for watching. You all take care, and as always, enjoy your pond.